All right, I'm going to give you guys a quick talk about how to stay relevant. All right, so these are some of the exciting pictures we took. Can you guys recognize Nat here? And we also have our mascot, which is Temple's mascot as well. So it's pretty fun. All right. In this talk, we'll look at an introduction, why we need to stay relevant and how to stay relevant. All right, I'm going to cover some theories that would actually back it up as well. All right, so I'll use Temple University as an example. All right, so it's always good to start thinking about your career development. All right, so even if you guys have graduated or you guys are thinking of doing further education, it's always very important to look into career development. And you never stop learning. It never stops till the day you die, I guess. Right, it sounds really... All right, so that's me. I'm an assistant professor at Temple University. I teach accounting and finance in the undergraduate program for international business, and also at the MIM program, which is the Masters in Management. All right, so Temple University is founded in 1884. It sounds really long time ago. But what's quite interesting is that we also have a campus in Tokyo. And if you guys decide to do a master's at Temple, it's the equivalent, or it's actually the same degree as the one that you would have graduated from Philadelphia, in Philadelphia as well in America. All right, so Japan is the oldest and largest foreign university. And we have fantastic faculty, example here, and small classes. All right, thanks guys. And what makes TUJ unique is that we have international faculty. All our courses are in English, I think, except maybe for the Japanese courses. We have a global mindset, and we have a strong internship program as well. All right, so everyone's relevant by the time they graduate from Temple University. All right, so going into one of the theories by Noel Illis, all right, the main areas of understanding is that when we start learning something, we have to consider the type of barriers, all right? So generally we start with the basis, right? Our physiology, our psychology, it's about us. Then we also look at our life, right, our age. So as we're younger, we study, but as we get older, we have less time, and yet we still have to continue upgrading ourselves. Next, as we study, the way to study, the application, the pedagogy is very important, and it changes. So when you're younger, the way you learn differs when you graduate. Does that make sense? And then also the external conditions, such as the space, society, and objectives and situations also change. So we must always be aware of it ourselves so that we can keep in touch with it. All right, so there's this learning cycle that looks at how we reflect and observe things, then look at the abstract conceptualization, and then we try it out ourselves and see in reality, does it really work? Is there a better way? Is there something else that might suit us? And then we'll go out to have like internship, actually try something to actually get concrete experience. And that's what you can reflect very nicely on your CVs. Yes? So generally what happens is sometimes we have internships, or we actually have work shadowing. Have you guys heard of work shadowing? So where you basically follow a person around and see what they do every day. So that's reflection, that's observation. Then we basically try to link it to what we study in class, and then we actually try doing an internship. And then we come up with the actual experience in our CV. Does that make sense? So this is usually for undergraduates. But as we graduate, we would still have the same cycle, except it's not so apparent. Does that make sense? We observe our colleagues working, right? That's the reflective. And then we basically try. We can say, oh, I'll help you out. You'll be the helpful colleague. And then from there, you can say from your CV what you've actually learned. All right, so then there's this cycle of expensive learning. So first we question, why do you do something? Then we look at historical. So generally this is something that we do in academic, but generally we can try coming up with our own solution, what we think might be useful based on our past experience. So it's very similar to academia. We examine the new model, and then we implement it, we reflect it, and then we try practicing it, and then we question it again to say, hey, does it work? Is it something else that we can work on? Does that make sense? Yeah? Any questions so far? All right, excellent. All right, so when we learn, there are a few things, such as we need to work together as a community, right? So that's why in class we always have group work. And then we also have to identify that we're actually learning. So we need to have an objective. So when you guys take continuing education courses at Temple University, you must have an objective. Do you want to know more about accounting? So that's your objective. So you identify something and then you aim to learn. The next is learning as an experience, right? Your daily work, going to work, observing people, that's a method of learning. And for example, in accounting, where we do accountancy, you guys doing the work entries, the admin paperwork, it's practice. And then you can apply that to your actual exams, the professional exams. So then it's learning as doing. All right, so the courses I teach, accounting and finance, it's very much like learning as doing. So whatever you learn, you actually practice it. And then after practicing it a few times, it becomes like Kumon. Do you guys know what Kumon is? Where basically you keep repeating again and again, and before you know it, voila, you've got it. Yeah? So you don't actually have to sit down and memorize the information. All right? So this other model that I looked at, it looks at the content, what makes you want to study, and the environment. But generally, what do you think is the incentive for most people to learn? What is the incentive? Why do people want to learn in the first place? What is the basic requirement? I mean, the high order is because you want to have self-fulfillment and everything. But what's the basic fundamental reason why everybody wants to learn? All right? JJ? Yes, that's right. It's money. All right? So that's the incentive, right? So the more we earn, possibly the more things we earn, right? That's why some of you guys decide, okay, I'm going to learn how to use YouTube so that I can be my own YouTuber. Yeah? All right, so obviously, depending on the thingy, we have to look at the abilities, the functionality, the integration, and the sensitivity of the situation. All right, so there are three types of learning, okay? The first one is called cumulative or mechanical. All right? And this has no reason, there's no backing. You just have to memorize it. It's hardcore. And an example is a pin number, right? What's your 4-number pin? You know, there's no logic behind how you get the number. So the first method of learning is just cumulative. After a while, you learn everything. You need to log in. You need to put a pin number. Does that make sense? You need a password. All right, and then the second method of learning, or why people learn, is assimilative or learning by addition. So you learn like primary 1, you learn how to add. Then primary 2, you learn how to subtract. Primary 3, you learn how to multiply. Primary 4, you learn how to divide. So it's cumulative. Does that make sense? So for example, in the MIM program, I teach accounting first as one of the modules. And that is the foundation. Then students learn on top of that is finance, which is funding, right? So it's basically learning by addition. The moment you learn by addition, it becomes easier because you've already got the foundation. Does that make sense? All right, so an example, at Temple University, we have continuing education. So assuming you have a degree, a basic degree, you want to build on top of what you've learned, you would actually decide to choose a type of skill that continuing education has. So, for example, if you guys want to build on your human resource, you would take courses like that at Temple University. Then, for example, if you decide you want higher order, you want to have self-fulfillment, then you go for Japanese culture, Western culture. Does that make sense? So this is the second type, right? So the first type is cumulative, right? Mechanical means it's got no reason behind it. You just have to remember. The next is by addition. And this is where continuing education comes into place. It's there to add on. The third one is called accommodative or transcendent learning, where basically you feel that it seems important or interesting. It is something one is determined to acquire. So this type of learning is for people who want to change their career. They want to move from maybe law to medicine. So it's suddenly a different field, and that one requires a lot of grit, yeah? And this type of learning is very painful. It's experienced as demanding or even painful. One must cross existing limitations or understand or accept something that is significantly new or different. So an example is at the MIM program, we accept students who have no accounting management background. And when they have to take my course in accounting, it's very painful, but they know it's good for them. Yes? So this is accommodative or transcendent learning. Means they will do anything just to get out of it. Yes? All right, so these are the three types. Okay, can you guys remember what is the first one? Cumulative, right? Which is just memorize pin number. Second, exactly, add on from your degree, right? And then your third one, very good, right? So this is the most painful of them all. But because you know you need it, this is something that's truly good for you, and you actually do it, yeah? So that's Masters in Management for those who have not actually had any background in management or accounting. And this is a 1 year to build professional momentum. You get to develop knowledge and experience in strategy, data analysis, accounting, and finance. And it's a fabulous way to kickstart your career. There are also personality changes. So for example, if you decide, look, I want to be a more outgoing person, yeah? Then you actually try to break out from orientation. And education helps you do that. It gives you that foundation. The next is barriers to learning. Is something that prevents you from studying. And generally, it's because maybe you have some personal situation. So generally, that one, it's not something that you can say, okay, I'll go to class and the teacher can solve it for me. All right, that's generally something else that you either need to talk to the administrators and say, look, which program would suit me best? Can I speak to some of the lecturers so that, you know, we can understand the thing a bit better? What sort of program fits my schedule? So, for example, like the MIM program, we lecture at night, 6 p.m. So for those who are like needing to find a job, they actually can kind of work during the day for a few hours, for example. All right. The other barrier to learning is where people are unwilling and without any personal fault has become unemployed, for example. So they suddenly have no job and they're like thinking, gosh, I've worked so hard for the last 20 years and now I have no job. So these people, they think, you know, why should I go and learn? But these are the people who need to go back and study even harder. Does that make sense? All right. So basically, in terms of barriers to learning, flexibility is essential. So, for example, if you haven't quite decided which area you want to go into, Temple University has continuing education, which has 5, 8-week, 10-week courses, and we have courses at night from 7 to 9:30 or Saturday from 9 to 5:30. We also have workshops, which is just 1 or 2 days. So that's just to kickstart your understanding, something that you guys, if you guys want to try to get over these barriers to learning, 1 or 2 courses at Temple University would be fabulous. All right, there's also the other barrier to entry, such as mental resistance. Means we just can't get our head around why we don't understand something. So sometimes, apart from just reading the book or just YouTubing, maybe going to a lecture, listening online, going in class would actually help you, because that way you also interact with other people, and then you find, hey, you know what? I have the same like-minded people, and maybe there's something else that's slightly more interesting, something that I might be more intrigued about. All right, so going out, trying to do something is actually very important for mental resistance. All right, so if you guys decide, okay, I'm going to definitely change my field, I've never done management or anything, you could try the MIM program. It's a one-year program from August to July. It also has a internship, a 3-month internship. It's a 10-course full-time program, evenings only from Monday to Thursday, so your Fridays are off. It's a US diploma and entirely taught in English. All right, you get to learn the language of business, you gain business and leadership skills, and during the course, within the entire course, we run it such that every course helps you to prepare for your career, yes, or whatever change you decide you want. All right, so applications, it's kind of rolling throughout the year. All right, we actually have a booth at the back, that's booth number 8. If you guys want to find out more about Temple, the MIM program, or the continuing education ones as well. So we've been around for, the continuing education's been around for 27 years, and we have many courses. Drop them an email if you guys don't find a course that you like. And these are the deadlines you can also check out on the internet. For the master program, we have Eriko, and she's actually currently at the booth. You can also drop her an email. Professor Swinton is currently in America, so he won't be able to join us, but you feel free to also drop him an email if you guys have any questions on the program, or if there's anything you guys wonder, like how else to progress yourself, what sort of questions you might have, and so forth. You can contact us, Facebook, LinkedIn, email. Yep, any of this would be also fantastic. All right, do you guys have any questions for me? Any questions? No? Seriously, no questions for me? Okay, let's hear it from you. Oh, okay. So how does, okay, so his question is really good. How's the MIM program different from the MBA program? The MIM program is basically, we target like students who have just graduated from university or don't have much experience. So then we recommend them to actually take the MIM program. And then we also have an internship that's built in the program. And we also encourage time management. So it's a quite intensive program, and yet you can still work part-time and also work on an internship. And we have all the projects that come along with it as well. So it's quite a very intense and a very exciting program. But I'll get hold of you after this as well. Any other questions you guys might have? No! Let's hear it from one question from you ladies over there. Don't worry, I won't eat you alive. Otherwise, I would have eaten these 2 guys already. You see, at the end of the lecture, they're supposed to stand up and give me a clapping ovation. No, they're like cringing at the front. Okay, let's hear from you. What questions do you have for me? Like one question. Okay, let's hear. Okay, if you don't remember, if you don't have any questions for me, what are 3 things? What are 3 learning 3 learning skills that you have take away from my lecture? You have it here. Okay, fantastic. Let's hear it. What's the first one? Accommodative. Accumulative, you mean? Accumulative, right? Okay, that's one. What's the other 2? Transcendent, right? The very painful one, because you need to learn something different. And what's the first one? Yes, that's the cumulative, so additive, yes. And what's the first one? The one that's the pin number. It starts with M. E. Yes, very good, mechanical. Excellent. Thank you very much, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of today. We are at booth number 8, and thank you very much for taking your time to sit down with me. Thank you guys. Bye.